Hello again, and welcome to a short DI or direct instruction video on the pig's heart dissection. And why the heart, right? So, the heart is important because it pumps blood around your body, delivering oxygen and nutrients to your cells and removing waste products. The heart has four chambers. The two upper chambers, called the right and the left atrium, singular will be atrium, and two lower chambers called the right and left ventricles. Now, why the pig's heart? Now, simply because it is just like the human heart. Now, later on, when you do the actual dissection, when you close your fist like this is more or less the size of your heart. And I want you to compare it with a pig's heart in size, right? So here we said that, like a human heart, the pig heart also consists of the four chambers. So the two upper parts, which we call the atria or the atriums, and the two ventricles, left and right. Likewise, consistent with the structure of a human heart, it has four valves and the aorta. And the pig's hearts are so similar to the human heart, so much so that the tissue from pig's heart are now used to make heart valve replacement for humans. And that's so amazing, right? And I'm sure you probably have heard in the news, right? Um, they're saying there was a team of surgeons from the University of Maryland School of Medicine in Baltimore, um, Maryland. They were able to transplant a genetically modified pig heart into a 57-year-old male. Now, of course, the pig heart had 10 genetic modifications. That's why it's called in the first place a genetically modified pig heart. So, what they do with that is they remove four pig genes and they added six human genes. So that's what makes it genetically modified. Now, of course, there's always an issue at xenotransplantation because this is what is happening. So, xenotransplantation is a process of transplanting live organs, tissues, or cells from a non human animal into a human. Now, the idea of cross species transplantation is not new. And we have had that before, and it would include blood transfusions from non human animals into humans. Now, that's a little bit of info on this big word xenotransplantation, right? But going back to our topic at hand, so the first thing that you will notice later on when you see the actual pig's heart would be the aorta, right? And the aorta is the main artery that carries blood away from your heart to the rest of your body. The blood leaves the heart through the aortic valve, then it travels through the aorta, making a cane shaped curve, just like this, right? That allows other major arteries to deliver oxygen rich blood to the brain, muscles, and other cells. So, this is a simplified picture of the pig's heart, right? And I hope you can see the similarity of this diagram with what you now have in front of you. And if we try and look closely at what we have here, right? So let me have the focus. Yeah, I have here the focus. So I was mentioning earlier the artery, right? So this would be the main line that would be visible right away when you have the pig's heart in front of you. So try and locate all these different parts, right? So I have here the right atrium, right ventricle, coronary artery, this main line here, aortic arc, pulmonary artery, left atrium, left ventricle. Remember, atrium would be the upper chamber, and the lower chambers would be the ventricles, left and right. Okay, so here, and try and see if you're able to see all these parts as well. And you will note that the heart is closest to the lungs, right? Another organ. And you might see this kind of like a film, right? So we call that the pericardium, right? And it's kind of similar to some strings here. Sometimes they are referred to as the heart strings as well. So that might come into play when you start to label some of the parts, right? So the heartstrings, right? These are actually tendons. They can break after deep emotional trauma, causing the heart to lose form. That's why we often hear that expression, "Oh, I'm heartbroken," right? So that can literally happen, right? Because if you experience this deep emotional trauma or stress, right, the heart actually can lose its form. And a tendon is a fibrous connective tissue that attaches muscle to bone. And when you get into the act of cutting the heartstrings later on, you might find it difficult to cut through. But it would be interesting for you to just feel it first with your fingers. And it's just like strumming the strings of a guitar, right? Heartstrings. And as I was saying earlier, this can be the diagram that you might be asked later on. And you can go back to the earlier part of this video to be able to get the names of the parts and label it accordingly, right? So there you go, a very simple activity that you would be doing today. And let's see, this would be one way of cutting through, right? The first incision, and I know you're just using a pair of scissors, right? This is a scalpel. So no scalpel in class, but what you can do now would be to poke the end of the scissors through this. So I was mentioning earlier the aortic valve, this line here, right? So cut through this parallel. Or another option for us to do would be to do it this way, like open it up into halves, into two, right? And there you would be able to just follow through the discussion as I mentioned, or where are now the four chambers, right? So how deep is it, and how can you really know, right? And you would be given directions or some mini clips to just guide you through. Now, that's it for the way of cutting up the heart when we are now doing that in class. So, what else? After this activity, there would be this reflection sheet, right? So, here on a loose leaf, I want you to just answer the following essential questions based on the recorded DI, this one, or even based on the actual dissection, right? So here, how does the actual pig's heart compare with your own heart in terms of size? So is it smaller or bigger? So as I mentioned earlier, close your fist, and this is about the same size as your heart. Then compare it with the pig's heart that you now have on the dissection tray. Now, what are the parts of the heart represented by the letters A, B, C, D, E up to H? or eye, right? So you go back to the earlier part of the video and you would be able to just get through the labeling, right? So there you go. So let's go back to the reflection sheet. So name one other organ closest to the heart. What do you think is the answer to that? Of course, it's the lungs, right? And what do you mean by a genetically modified pig heart? So I that was also mentioned in this short DI, right? And what is xenotransplantation? Do you approve of it or not? Why? So I wanted to know your thoughts on this. And of course, I like the heart dissection because why? I don't like the heart dissection because why? Right? So no wrong answers here because it is essentially a reflection. Okay. And what else? Another activity concerning the heart would be this a fun art activity, right? So I want you to create your own unique heart art with a heart touching coat, right? And intent, of course, art and science, and of course, you're going to use an online paper, and I think it would be cardstock that you would be using for this activity. So, how would this look like? So, this is just my example here. So, let me just magnify it, right? So, let's see. Yeah. So, well, like this, you can use an actual photo or a printout so that you can cut it and then just paste it, right? Or you can draw and sketch, add colors, or you can even do some pencil shading, right? Or make a collage, cut out colorful pages in a magazine, and you could add laying material effects, right? So this is just my example here, right, of this F. And of course, my code it can be as simple as this. And you need to put in the person who said it or the author of that code. So life is about choices. Some we regret, some we're proud of, some will haunt us forever. And this is from Graham Brown. So you can have something like this, but I also have here explore cubism art. So how does that look like? So it would be this, right? So you can create your own or use a ready-made template, which I will produce and take a good look at it. If you want it, then use it, right? So Cubism art, of course, on the well-known Picasso artist. Was the one person really associated with this kind of art, right? So a little bit of math, right? Like when you think about polygons, right? And let's see what I have here. And of course, you can have the ready-made template. So let's see what I have here. So your choice if you want to use this. So fill in the colors, right? So, especially if you're grade 8, then think about color addition, right? So, or if you're in grade 7 or grade 9, right? So, take your pick of this ready made template if you want to use them. Okay? So, there you go, people. So, that's our activity or set of activities associated with the pig's heart dissection. So, first things first, to make a recap, we do the actual dissection and then trying to locate the parts and what else? Of course, the science reflection on a loose leaf, and this one, the heart art, right? And that would be on a cardstock with the template that you're free to choose from. So that's it, the class. Ciao for now.